Hello, welcome to your first year 7 lesson. So I'm going to share my screen. So welcome to year 7, um, term 1. Okay, so the title of this lesson, this is block 1 lesson, is describe and continue a sequence given diagrammatically. So what this means is you're going to be given a sequence, but that sequence is going to be given to you in the form of diagram. And then you'll be required to be able to describe what is happening with the sequence, and then you'll be required to continue the sequence. So maybe draw the next one and then another one. But before we start, let's get you thinking about maths. Okay, so the first question I'm going to give you. So when you were in primary school, this may have been called starter, or now that you're in secondary school, you will hear your teacher say retrieval practice. So I want you to answer these questions in 4 minutes. Okay? Okay, I'm not going to allow the full 4 minutes. This is to get you prepared to be thinking about maths. So in the next 1 minute, we'll look at the answers. Okay. Now, the first question was, what is the difference between 8 and 12? That's 4. And then the next one is how many more circles are in the second diagram compared to the first? There are 3 more circles in the second diagram. Okay, you can see here we have 4 circles, and then here we have 7. Okay, so there are 3 more. And in fact, we're going to see more circles in this lesson because like I said, the title is to be able to describe sequences that are given to you as diagrams, and then to be able to continue those sequences. The next question is, what is double eight? Double eight is 16. And then what is half of 24? Half of 24 is 12. Okay, let's do some learning. Very first lesson. So here we have these diagrams. Here we have 2 circles, 4 circles, and then we have 6 circles. So in sequences, we'll call them terms. So this is the first term, this is the second term, this is the third term and the fourth term, so on and so forth. So if we draw another set of diagrams here, we're going to call it the fifth term. So if you look at the sequence, you will see that every time we're adding 2 more circles. Oops, I didn't mean to draw. Let's erase that. Anyway, let's move on. So we're having 2 more circles added each time. So here we have 4, we have added 2 more, that's 6, and then we're adding 2 more, that's 8. So if I ask you what's going to be the next set of circles, which is the fifth term, I'm sure you'll tell me that the fifth term is going to be, 10 circles. Okay. So what we've done here is what we call to describe the sequence. So if I ask you to describe the sequence, if you told me that 2 more circles are added each time, you've just answered my question. And then if I ask you to continue the sequence, which means I want you to draw the fifth term or even the sixth term, so I could ask you to draw the next 2 terms of the sequence. By drawing this, you would have answered the question. So that's what it means to continue the sequence. And of course, the sixth term will have 12 circles. Now, here is another diagram. Here, what do you notice? Okay, here we have a triangle. Here we have this same triangle here. Let me use my pen. Just a minute. So here we have, okay, we have this triangle, which is the same here. But if you notice, you see that we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if I ask you to describe this sequence, you would say, okay, let me check the other ones. Let me check whether it's the same as this one. You would say, okay, we have this one, which is the same as that. So from here, okay, right through to this bit here, you can see that it's the same as this. So continuing this sequence, I'm going to add 3 more triangles like this one. So you see that the pattern is that we're adding 3 more triangles every time. Okay, so the sequence now, if we continue the sequence, we're going to have, for the next 2 terms of the sequence, we're going to have this. Okay, you see that I've added here. Okay, I've added here. Yeah, you can see this one looks exactly like this, which stops here. Okay, stops here. So I would have added 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I've added 3 more triangles because to describe the sequence, we're adding 3 triangles every time. Okay, all right. And so on and so forth. If we draw the next sequence, you see that we'll add, this one stops here, and we're adding the same 3 triangles every time. So we're able to continue the sequence, and we've been able to describe the sequence. Okay, now I've had some learning. What we've done so far, just before you have some practice, is I have explained to you what it means to describe a sequence. And I've also explained to you what it means to continue a sequence. So to describe a sequence is you observe the diagram that has been given to you, you think about and write down, or if a teacher were to ask you, you say exactly how the sequence is changing from one diagram to the next diagram. And then to continue the sequence, you use what you know to draw the next terms of the sequence. By now, you know what a term means. A term is the actual position you are in for the sequence. So for the first one, we'll say first term. For the second one, we'll say second term. Okay? All right. I want you to now have a practice. Okay? So I'm going to give you 6 minutes. 6 minutes should be enough for you to answer these questions. Don't worry if you can't finish all of it. Um, but 6 minutes is sufficient time for you to be able to do them. So, two things you'll be doing. First, you should be able to describe the sequence, and then next, you should be able to continue the sequence. Okay, these are two different things, skills you need to learn and you need to know. Okay, I'll let you get on with the task. I'm just going to have a sip of hot chocolate. Okay, in about 2 minutes, we'll be reviewing the answers. Okay, it's time for us to for you to mark your work. Okay, so here are the answers. Don't worry too much if you got some of them wrong. At the end of the lesson, I'm going to review my contact details where your parents can send in their emails, and then I can answer any questions. But for now, mark your work and give yourself a pat on the back if you got all of them right. But if you didn't get all of them right, it's okay. You can learn from your mistakes. So for the first question, you were asked to describe the sequence. You can clearly see that for the sequence, we were adding 2 more circles each time. Okay. So to continue the sequence, it means you need to draw the next one and then draw the next one to be similar to the previous one, but you need to add 2 more circles. Okay. And then here, question 2 is almost the same thing, but it's a different pattern. So you can see that there are 2 more squares that are added each time. And then you just, to continue the sequence, you add 2 more squares every time. And then for the third one, you can see that 1 more square and 1 more triangle is added each time. So to continue the sequence, you add 1 more square and 1 more triangle. And then for the last one, 3 more circles are added each time. So to continue the sequence, you're going to need to add 3 more circles every time you draw the diagram in the diagram, which is the next term of the sequence. Okay. Now, sometimes not all sequences have the same number added every time. So if you look at this diagram, what do you notice? You can see here we're adding 3 more squares. Okay, so you have 1 square here, you have 1 square here, but we added 3 more squares. Okay, here we have the same thing. So if we were to carve out this one, yeah, you can see it's the same thing as this one, but we added 5 more squares. So it looks like this is going to be a sequence where every time what we add to the next term is increasing by 2. Okay, so if that is true, it means that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 squares, right? So it means the next one we're going to be adding 5. Okay, because previously we added 5 more squares. So the next one we're going to be adding 7. Okay, because we need to add 2 more. So you see here we added 2 more. Here we need to add 2 more. So let's check. Maybe it's correct. Yeah, maybe Mr. Oteri is wrong. Maybe Mr. Oteri is right. Okay, let's check. Okay, so let's see. So here we have 9 squares. All right, here we have 9 squares. Okay, but if you check, you will see that we've added 7 more squares. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? which means we're actually right. So the next one will be 9 squares. So we're going to be adding 9 more squares because here we added 7. So every time we are increasing by 2 what we add to the next term of the sequence. So to continue the sequence, we're adding, increasing by 2. So you can see here, we've added, yeah. So here we have 16 squares. So it's 4 by 4. So if we check this, that's 4 by 4. You see that we've added 9 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So you need to have that in mind that we can have different types of sequence. We do not only have sequence where we're adding the same number every time. Okay. But you're going to learn more about that in your next lesson. Okay, so here we have this diagram, right? Whitney says, so we have one circle here and we have 2 circles there. Now, Whitney says, I think there will be 3 circles in the next term. Okay, interesting. But Rosie says, no, 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 no. I think there will be 4 circles in the next term. Who do you agree with? Explain why. So I want you to think, who do you agree with and why? I'll give you a minute to think about that. Or a few seconds, about 30 seconds. Minute is too much. Well, what you need to realize is it depends on what we're doing, right? So, Whitney, yeah, Whitney would be right because if one circle is added each time, then Whitney is right. It means the next one will be 3, okay? The next term will be 3, and the next term will be 4. However, Rosie could be right. Okay. Rosie could say, oh, what if we're doubling each time? Yeah. So the number of circles, if the number of circles doubles each time, then Rosie would be right because if you double 1, you have 2. If you double 2, you have 4. Okay, so a sequence can behave differently depending on how you describe the sequence or how the sequence is described to you. Because in our next lesson, you'll be given sequences, you'll be told to do something to a sequence. So the sequence is being described to you, and then you'll be required to do something. So if Whitney gave you this sequence and told you to add 1 every time, you would get exactly this, what Whitney got. But if Rosie told you, no, I want you to be doubling each term of the sequence, so this is the first one, the second one, then Rosie would be right. Okay, so you need to have that in mind. Okay, it's time for you to have some practice. So far, what we've discussed for this second practice session of your lesson, what you've learned is that you can have sequence that behave differently. Sometimes you can have sequence that does not require you to be adding the same amount every time, or the same, to continue the sequence, you're not required to be adding the same diagram every time. You may need to change it. Okay, so you need to think carefully about what you're doing when you read a question given to you. Okay, it's now your turn to have a go at the rest of the questions. I'm going to give you again 6 minutes practice time. Just going to have a sip of hot chocolate. Okay, you have 3 minutes practice time left. Okay, in less than a minute, get ready to mark your work. Okay, it's time to mark your work. Okay. Um, give yourself a pat on the back if you got all of them right. And if you got some of them wrong, don't worry about it. You can learn from your mistakes. Okay. So for the first one, you can see that to continue the sequence, 4 rectangles are added each time. So to continue the sequence, we just need to draw rectangles, I mean to say. So we just need to draw 4 more rectangles to continue the sequence. Okay. And the next one, we can see that 3 circles are added, then 4, then 5. Okay. A new row is added to the triangle. So you can see that each time we are increasing the sequence, which is what we discussed during the second part of the lesson. Okay, that sometimes there are sequences where the to continue the sequence, the number of um, items we're adding to the diagram every time increases by some certain amount. So you just need to study the pattern to be able to know what to do with the sequence. Okay, and then for the next question, you were asked to do something to be able to describe a sequence. So the answer is this could be seen as 2 squares added each time. So you could have got your answer. You could have said, oh, I'm adding 2 squares every time. Or you could have said the number of squares is being tripled each time. Okay. And then for the next one, your answer would vary depending on the number of circles drawn in the first term. All right. Amir could have given this information to help. So, if I told you let the starting sequence be 3 circles, then you would know exactly what to do. Okay. And then for the last one, you could have different answers depending on the sequence you choose. So the number of blocks could decrease from term to term. So, for example, if we started with the number of blocks being 12, or the number of circles being 12, and then we're having a decreasing sequence, we could say we want to be decreasing the sequence by 2 every time. So the next one will be 10, the next one will be 8, the next one will be 6, 4, 2, and then so on and so forth. Okay. All right. This brings us to the